Sofia Ramos adjusted her coffee-stained apron as she peered out the window of the small cafe at the street. The morning was warm, and the Belo Horizonte sun cast its golden lights on the stone sidewalks. She lost herself for a moment, imagining a future where her colorful brushstrokes transformed people's lives, far from the walls her stepmother had built around her world. "More coffee, honey?" The voice of Marta, his stepmother, sounded sharp, interrupting his daydreams. Marta leaned over the counter, with a disdainful expression. Sofia nodded, moving with the grace of a trained reflex, her forced smile masking the bitterness that consumed her. While Sofia poured a steaming cup of coffee, Enrique Montero entered the cafe. His eyes, hidden behind his sunglasses, quickly scanned the room before settling on Sofia. It was impossible not to notice his imposing presence, even if he tried to blend in with the crowd. Enrique was a man of 40 years old, with an air of elegance that contrasted with the simplicity of the place. He always frequented the cafe, but had never before noticed the young woman who now served him. Sofia, with an automatic movement, handed over the cup. Her gaze met his for a brief moment. Something about the sparkle in her dark eyes made Enrique feel an unexpected connection, as if that young waitress were the key to a world he had lost. "Thank you," said Enrique, his voice soft and assured. "You make great coffee." Sofia smiled, feeling a strange warmth in her chest. "It's the coffee that keeps you coming back," he replied, without thinking. His words, more sincere than he intended, made her blush. Enrique smiled back, a smile that said more than 1,000 words. At the end of the day, Sofia changed from her uniform to the simple dress that she kept in a small closet, in a corner of the cafe. Anna, her best friend, was waiting for her on the sidewalk with a radiant smile and a golden mask. "Come on, Sofia. Today is the masquerade ball. You need to have some fun," Anna exclaimed, holding up a deep blue dress and a mask that shined like a star. Sofia hesitated, looking at the coffee, at the life that called her back. But something in Anna made her follow. She smiled, accepting the invitation. "Come on," he said, his tone decided. "Today I'm just going to be Sofia, without any shadows." The ballroom was a spectacle of lights and colors. Music floated through the air, a mix of rhythms that seemed to touch the soul. Sofia, with her mask and dress, felt like a character from a fairy tale. She mingled with the guests, feeling light, as if she could fly. Enrique, in the crowd, couldn't take his eyes off her. There was something about that woman, something that attracted him in an inexplicable way. He approached, with determined steps, and extended his hand. "Can I ask you to dance?" Sofia looked at the outstretched hand and then at Enrique's eyes. The world seemed to fade away around him. "Yes," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. They danced, moving together as if they had been rehearsing the dance their entire lives. Hours passed without them noticing. But when the clock struck midnight, Sofia had a feeling that it was time to leave. She broke away from Enrique's embrace, leaving him in the middle of the track, with his heart pounding. "Wait!" Enrique screamed, but the crowd swallowed her, and Sofia disappeared into the darkness of the night. The next day, Enrique, moved by an inexplicable impulse, visited the cafe. Marta welcomed him with a fake smile, but her presence was what he was looking for. "Did you see that young lady from the ball?" he asked, trying to remain calm. Marta frowned. "Sofia? She's not here. She must be busy with her chores." Enrique knew there was something more, something that Marta didn't want to reveal. The search began, and he was determined to find the woman who, one night, had awakened something deep within him. Sofia, on the other hand, returned to her reality, with teary eyes and a heavy heart. Marta looked at her with a cold expression. "You have no right to leave like that, Sofia. And much less of dreaming about something more." Marta's words cut like knives. Sofia felt small, lost in the shadows of the house that had once been her home. But a small flame of hope still burned inside her, fueled by the memory of a dance, by a look that seemed to understand her dreams. Enrique's search continued, but Sofia, in the silence of her room, knew she was about to find something that would change everything. With each passing day, the world became smaller, and the truth about his identity began to emerge, just like the bright colors of his paintings, which were now more than an escape, they were a promise of freedom. Sofia still felt her heart beating faster as she looked at her reflection in the broken mirror in her room. The golden mask hung from a makeshift hook on the wall, and the deep blue dress was folded neatly on the chair. The memories of the night before were a blur of twinkling lights and soft music, but one thing was clear in her mind: Enrique Montero's gaze. "Sofia, we need to talk," said Ana, entering the room with a worried look on her face. "Marta is furious. She wants to know where you were last night." Sofia sighed, feeling the weight of expectations and restrictions of her everyday life. "I know, Ana. But, that night was different. I felt alive." Ana held Sofia's hands, her eyes full of understanding. "You deserve to feel this every day. Not just on one magical night. Let's figure out a way for you to get out of here and live your dreams." At the same moment, Marta entered the room without knocking, her expression full of contempt. "So this is where you were hiding," she said, looking at Sofia as if she were a nuisance. "You think you can escape your responsibilities and blend in with high society?" "I wasn't running away, Marta," Sofia replied, her voice firm. "I just wanted one night to be myself." Marta laughed, a cold, empty sound. "You have no right to be yourself. You belong here, doing whatever I tell you." With a sudden gesture, she snatched the blue dress and mask from Sofia's hands. "These illusions end now." As Marta left the room, Ana squeezed Sofia's shoulder. "Don't let her get you down. You're stronger than this." Meanwhile, Enrique Montero was immersed in his own search. He mentally searched every face at the ball, trying to remember details that might help him find the woman who had danced with him. He couldn't forget the feeling of being complete by his side, something he had never felt before. "Señor Montero," said his assistant, interrupting his thoughts. "We have several leads as to the identity of the woman at the ball. Some seem promising." Enrique stood up, determined. "Let's follow them all. I won't rest until we find her." The streets of Belo Horizonte were more alive than ever, with people talking about Enrique's search and speculating about the mystery woman's identity. Sofia's paintings, displayed on street corners in the municipal park, began to gain more attention, with many wondering about the unknown artist who captured the essence of the city so accurately. Sofia, encouraged by Ana, decided to continue painting, even with Marta's strict supervision. Each stroke was a silent cry for freedom, an affirmation that, despite everything, she still had control over her own life. On a particularly sunny day, Sofia was finishing a new painting when she heard footsteps behind her. She turned and found Enrique, his gaze fixed on the screen. "This art, is it yours?" he asked, surprise and wonder in his voice. Sofia hesitated, but nodded. "Yes, it's mine. I paint in my spare time." Enrique looked at her with an intensity that made her tremble. "You have an incredible talent. Your art, it touches the soul." Before Sofia could respond, Marta appeared, her expression grim. "Sofia, come home. Now." She threw a withering look at Enrique. "That girl is causing me a lot of trouble. Don't let her fool you." Enrique faced Marta, realizing the pain and oppression that Sofia faced daily. "Sofia, you deserve more than this," he said softly. "I can help you." Sofia looked from Marta to Enrique, her heart divided between hope and fear. She knew that accepting Henry's help meant changing her entire life, facing her stepmother and defying the destiny that had been imposed on her. That night, in her room, Sofia pondered Enrique's offer. She knew that to find happiness, she would need to be brave and believe in her own worth. As the moonlight softly illuminated her paintings, she made a decision: she would fight for her dreams, no matter what the cost. The next day, when Sofia left the house with her head held high, she knew she was starting a journey that would lead her to a bright future. And, deep in her heart, she felt that Enrique would be a crucial part of this new life, not as a savior, but as a partner who believed in her and her potential. Enrique Montero couldn't get Sofia's image out of his head. The woman he'd met at the ball and the artist he'd discovered on the street were the same person, and he knew he couldn't rest until he made sure she was safe and happy. The search, which was once a simple curiosity, had become a personal mission. At the cafe, Sofia continued to work under Marta's constant supervision. Each day seemed more difficult than the previous one, but the memory of the meeting with Enrique gave him strength. Marta, on the other hand, seemed more determined than ever to keep Sofia under her control, fearing that she would lose the only person she could still exploit. One morning, while serving coffee to a customer, Sofia noticed that Enrique had entered the cafe again. Their eyes met, and Enrique walked towards her with an encouraging smile. "We can talk?" he asked, his voice soft. Sofia nodded, feeling her heart speed up. They sat at a table in the corner, away from prying eyes. "I know your situation here is not easy," Enrique began, choosing his words carefully. "And I want to help you, Sofia. You deserve a better life, where you can follow your dreams and live with dignity." Sofia looked at her hands, feeling tension and hope mix in her chest. I don't know if it's possible. Marta will never let me leave here." Enrique touched Sofia's hand lightly. "I promise I'll do everything I can to change this. You're not alone." Before they could continue, Marta appeared, her face contorted with rage. "What are you doing here, Henry? This is a family matter." Enrique stood up, remaining calm. "With all due respect, Marta, Sofia is an adult and has the right to make her own choices. I just want to help her live the life she deserves." Marta laughed, a bitter sound. "And who do you think you are? You don't understand anything about us." Enrique looked at Sofia, who was watching him with eyes full of hope. "I understand that Sofia is talented and deserves a chance to show her work to the world. And I will help her achieve that." Marta walked away, pulling Sofia by the arm. "You're going to pay me for this, Sofia. You'll see." As Marta dragged her away, Sofia looked at Enrique one last time. He nodded, a silent sign that he wouldn't give up. That night, Sofia was locked in her room, tears silently streaming down her face. Marta had forbidden her to leave, reinforcing the invisible bars that kept her trapped. But hope, fueled by Henry's words, still glowed within her. Meanwhile, Enrique gathered his team and began a public campaign to find the mysterious artist he knew to be Sofia. Posters were posted around the city, and announcements were made on social media, offering a reward to anyone who could help find her. News spread quickly, and Sofia's story began to gain attention. People mobilized, some recognizing his paintings on the streets of Belo Horizonte. The artistic community, in particular, was intrigued by the mystery and began searching for the talented artist who had captured Enrique Montero's heart. On a sunny afternoon, Ana met Sofia at the cafe. She was excited, holding a sign with a photo of one of Sofia's paintings. "Look, Sofia. Enrique is doing everything he can to find you. You need to tell him where you are." Sofia looked at the poster, feeling a surge of emotion. "I want to, Ana, but Marta." "Leave Marta to me," Ana interrupted. "You deserve this chance, Sofia. Let's get out of here and find Enrique." With Anna's help, Sofia managed to escape the cafe and meet Enrique in a nearby park. When she saw him, she ran to him, feeling a freedom she had never experienced before. Enrique hugged her, holding her firmly. "I knew I would find you," he said, his voice full of emotion. Sofia smiled, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you for believing in me, Enrique. I don't know how to thank you." "You don't need to thank me," he replied, wiping away her tears. "Let's just make sure you can follow your dreams. Let's find you a safe place and start planning your future." Enrique's search had not ended with finding Sofia. They would still face many challenges, especially with Marta still determined to control Sofia. But together, they were ready to face any obstacle. And Sofia, for the first time, felt that she had a real chance of living the life she had always dreamed of. Sofia felt the gentle breeze from the park caress her face as she snuggled into Enrique's arms. The feeling of freedom was almost overwhelming, an emotion she could barely understand after years of oppression. Enrique, holding her firmly, felt the strength of her commitment to protect and support the woman who had become so important to him in such a short time. "I won't let Marta hurt you again," promised Enrique, looking into Sofia's eyes. "We will solve this together." Sofia nodded, still unsure about what the future held, but determined to fight for it. They walked away from the park, walking towards Enrique's car. He took her to a safe apartment in the city center, a welcoming place where she could rest and feel protected. That night, while Sofia was sitting on the sofa, looking at the illuminated city through the panoramic windows, Enrique came in with a cup of hot tea. "Here, this will calm you down," he said, handing over the cup. "Thank you," Sofia replied, accepting the tea. "Enrique, I don't know how I'm going to be able to pay you for all this." Enrique sat next to her, his gaze serious and full of affection. "Sofia, you don't owe me anything. I'm doing this because I believe in you and your talent. You deserve a chance to live your dreams." Sofia smiled shyly, feeling tears pool in her eyes. "No one has ever treated me like this before. I don't even know how to thank you. Just live your life the way you always wanted to." "That will be thanks enough," he replied softly. Meanwhile, Marta was furious. Sofia's escape had left her filled with anger and resentment. She knew that Enrique was involved and would not allow him to take away the control she had over Sofia so easily. Determined to regain her dominance, Marta began planning a way to bring Sofia back. The next day, Enrique took Sofia to an art gallery, where he had arranged a meeting with a renowned curator. The space was spacious and bright, with white walls and paintings by emerging artists. Sofia, nervous but excited, held a portfolio of her paintings. "Miss Ramos, it is a pleasure to meet you," said the curator, extending his hand. "Enrique told me a lot about your talent." Sofia shook the healer's hand, feeling her excitement growing. "It's an honor to be here. I hope my paintings can impress you." The curator smiled, opening the portfolio and examining each piece carefully. Enrique watched closely, eager for feedback. After a few minutes, the healer looked at Sofia with a genuine smile. "Your art is impressive, Miss Ramos. It captures the essence and soul of Belo Horizonte in a way that few can. I would love to display your works in our next exhibition." Sofia almost couldn't believe what she was hearing. "Serious? This is a dream come true." Enrique smiled, feeling his heart warm when he saw the happiness in Sofia's eyes. "I knew you could do it, Sofia. This is just the beginning." While Sofia prepared for her first exhibition, Marta continued to plot. She used her connections to obtain information about Sofia's whereabouts and began spreading malicious rumors about her, trying to tarnish her reputation and sabotage her career before it even began. One afternoon, while Sofia was at the gallery finalizing preparations for the exhibition, Enrique received an urgent call from his assistant. "Mr. Montero, we need to talk. Something serious happened." Enrique left Sofia at the gallery and went to meet his assistant, who showed him a series of defamatory articles published on a local blog. "Marta is behind this," said the assistant. "She's trying to destroy Sofia's reputation." Enrique took a deep breath, feeling the anger bubbling inside him. We are not going to let that happen. Let's unmask Marta and protect Sofia. Prepare a press release and gather all the evidence we have against Marta. Let's fight this. That night, Enrique returned to the gallery and found Sofia, who looked worried. What happened? She asked, noticing Enrique's serious expression. We need to talk, Sofia. Marta is trying to ruin her reputation. But I promise we will work it out. Let's expose the truth and ensure you have the chance to showcase your talent to the world. Sofia felt a knot forming in her stomach, but Enrique's presence by her side gave her strength. I trust you, Enrique. Let's face this together. On the day of the exhibition, the gallery was full of guests, all eager to see Sofia's works. Marta appeared, trying to cause confusion, but Enrique was prepared. He presented the evidence of defamation to the public and unmasked Marta's intentions, gaining the support and sympathy of those present. Sofia, although nervous, presented her works with confidence. The reactions were overwhelmingly positive, and she received a standing ovation. Marta, humiliated and unmasked, left the gallery furious, knowing that her control over Sofia was over. After the exhibition, Enrique held Sofia's hands, his eyes shining with pride. You did it, Sofia. You did it. Sofia smiled, feeling new hope blossom within her. I wouldn't have done it without you, Enrique. Thank you for believing in me. Enrique pulled her into a tight hug. Always, Sofia. Always. The morning after the exhibition brought a new wave of emotions for Sofia. She woke up in Enrique's apartment, feeling a mixture of relief and excitement. The previous day had been a whirlwind of revelations and emotions, but for the first time in a long time, she felt free. As she stretched, Enrique entered the room with a warm smile. Good morning, Sofia. How are you feeling? Sofia smiled back, feeling lighter. I'm feeling free. It's an incredible feeling. I'm glad to hear that, replied Henry. Today we have a radio interview to talk about your exhibition and the impact your paintings are having on the community. Sofia nodded, still trying to process everything that was happening. I'm ready. I want to take advantage of every opportunity that arises. The local radio was buzzing with the arrival of Sofia and Enrique. The studio was full of equipment, and the host, a middle-aged man with a welcoming smile, welcomed them warmly. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here, he said, shaking Sofia's hand. Their exhibition was a smashing success, and we look forward to hearing more about their story. Sofia sat in front of the microphone, feeling slightly nervous. Enrique was at his side, offering him silent support. When the interview began, the presenter asked questions about his art, his inspiration and, inevitably, the challenges he faced with Marta. It was difficult, Sofia admitted, her voice firm. But I always knew I wanted to express my feelings and my vision through art. And now, finally, I have the opportunity to do that. Enrique took the floor next, praising Sofia's resilience and talent. She is an incredible artist and an extraordinary person. I am sure that this exhibition is just the beginning of a brilliant career. After the interview, Enrique and Sofia left the radio, feeling even more connected and strengthened. As they walked through the busy streets of Belo Horizonte, Sofia looked at Enrique, her eyes shining with gratitude. Enrique, I could never have done this without you. Thank you for being by my side. Enrique smiled, pulling her into a hug. I will always be by your side, Sofia. And this is just the first of many victories that we will celebrate together. That night, Sofia and Enrique went to a charming restaurant to celebrate the success of the exhibition and the interview. As they talked and laughed, Sofia felt like she was finally living the life she had always dreamed of. In a corner of the restaurant, Marta watched from afar, with a bitter expression on her face. She knew she had lost control over Sofia, but she was still determined to cause trouble. Determined not to let this happen cheaply, she began planning a new scam, this time more subtle and insidious. However, Sofia and Enrique were more prepared than ever. The trust and unity between them was unbreakable, and they knew they could face any challenge that came their way. A few weeks later, Sofia received an unexpected call from a renowned art gallery in São Paulo. They were interested in his works and wanted to organize an exclusive exhibition to present his work to the São Paulo public. "This is amazing!" Sofia exclaimed, gripping the phone tightly. "Henry, did you hear that? They want my art in São Paulo." Enrique smiled, feeling proud. "I knew this would happen, Sofia. You deserve all the recognition in the world." With Enrique's support, Sofia began preparing for the exhibition in São Paulo. They traveled together, exploring the city and enjoying every moment. The exhibition was an even greater success than the first, and Sofia began to be recognized as one of Brazil's most promising emerging artists. As they walked through the streets of São Paulo after the exhibition, Enrique stopped and held Sofia's hands. "Sofia, I have something important to tell you." Sofia looked at him, feeling a rush of expectation. "What is it, Henry?" Enrique smiled, taking a small box out of his pocket. "Sofia, since I met you, my life has completely changed. You brought light and joy to my days, and I want to spend the rest of my life by your side." He opened the box, revealing an engagement ring. "Will you marry me?" Sofia felt tears run down her face as she looked at Enrique, her heart overflowing with love and happiness. "Yes, Henry. Yes, I want to marry you." They hugged each other, surrounded by the city lights, ready to start a new journey together. Sofia's life had changed drastically, but she knew that, with Enrique by her side, anything was possible. And as they walked back to the hotel, hand in hand, Sofia felt that she had finally found her true happiness. Sofia woke up with renewed determination. After recent challenges and Enrique's unwavering support, she knew it was time to stand up to her stepmother and take control of her own life. As she prepared for the day, she thought about all the times Marta humiliated and belittled her. But now, Sofia had the strength and courage to defend herself. In the kitchen, Marta was already busy, as always, ordering tasks for Sofia's stepsisters. Upon seeing Sofia, Marta frowned. "You should be working, not loitering around the house." Sofia took a deep breath, remaining calm. "Marta, we need to talk." Marta stopped what she was doing, surprised by the firmness in Sofia's voice. "What do you want?" "I will no longer accept being treated like a servant. I have a talent and a life to fight for. I'm leaving this house." Marta let out a sarcastic laugh. "And where are you going? Do you think you can survive alone?" "I'm not alone. I have people who support me, and I believe in myself." Sofia stepped forward, her voice firm. "You no longer have power over me." Marta, visibly irritated, tried to intimidate Sofia with her stern look. "You will never be anything without me. You always have been and always will be a nobody." Sofia felt the anger and pain of Marta's words, but she didn't back down. "That's what you want me to believe. But I know it's not true. I'm leaving." With those words, Sofia turned and left the kitchen, quickly grabbing her things. Anna was waiting outside with a taxi. When Sofia left the house, she felt a weight lifted from her shoulders. She knew she had made the right choice. "You were incredible, Sofia," said Anna, hugging her friend. "I'm so proud of you." "Thank you, Anna. I couldn't have done this without your support." The two friends went to the gallery where Sofia would start working. The reception was warm, with fellow artists excited to see what Sofia would bring to the group. She immediately felt at home, surrounded by people who shared her passion and vision. Meanwhile, Enrique was finalizing an important contract at the office. When he received Sofia's message saying that she had left Marta's house, he felt profound relief. He immediately called her. "Sofia, I'm so proud of you. How are you feeling?" "I'm fine, Enrique. Better than ever, in fact. I'm at the gallery now, and everyone has been very welcoming." "That's great. I knew you could do it. Shall we celebrate tonight?" "Of course," Sofia replied, smiling. That night, Enrique took Sofia to an elegant restaurant to celebrate her new freedom. While having dinner, they discussed plans for the future, both personally and professionally. "You know, Sofia, I've been thinking," said Enrique. "Have you considered doing a solo exhibition of your new works? I think it would be a great step for your career." Sofia was thoughtful for a moment. "It would be a dream come true. But, am I ready for that?" Enrique took her hand, looking into her eyes. "You are more than ready. Your talent is undeniable, and the world deserves to see your works. Let's make this happen together." With this new goal in mind, Sofia dedicated herself even more to her art, working tirelessly at the gallery. Each painting he created was an expression of his newfound freedom and the journey he had been on. A few weeks later, the gallery announced Sofia's solo exhibition. The news quickly spread, and anticipation grew. On the opening day, the gallery was packed with people eager to see Sofia's work. Enrique, alongside Sofia, couldn't be more proud. "You did it, Sofia. Look at all these people, all here to see your art." Sofia smiled, excited. "I couldn't have done this without you, Enrique. Thank you for believing in me." As they walked through the gallery, receiving praise and admiration, Sofia felt like she was finally where she was supposed to be. The freedom and love she had found with Enrique motivated her to move forward, facing any challenge that arose. The opening of Sofia's solo exhibition was a resounding success. The gallery walls were adorned with his works, each one telling a part of his story and emotions. The crowd in attendance couldn't stop praising the depth and beauty of the paintings. While Sofia talked to the guests, Enrique watched her from afar, proud. He knew that Sofia had found her place in the world. Suddenly, he felt a hand on his shoulder. It was his brother, Gustavo. "Enrique, we need to talk," said Gustavo, with a serious expression. Enrique nodded, and the two moved away from the crowd to a quieter corner of the gallery. "What's going on, Gustavo?" "Enrique, some board members are concerned about your relationship with Sofia. They think it could affect your position in the company." Henry frowned. "This is ridiculous. My personal life shouldn't interfere with business." "I know," said Gustavo, sighing. "But you know how they are. They think you're distracted and that Sofia might be a risk." Enrique took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "Sofia is the best thing that has ever happened to my life. If they can't see that, then they don't really know me." Gustavo placed his hand on Enrique's shoulder, trying to comfort him. "Just be careful, brother. They're looking for any reason to take you down." Enrique nodded, but his mind was filled with worry. He knew he would have to face this battle, but he wouldn't let it interfere with his love for Sofia. Later that night, as they were returning home, Sofia realized that something was bothering Enrique. "What happened, Enrique? You seem worried." Enrique sighed and told her about the conversation with Gustavo. "Some board members think our relationship is a problem." Sofia was silent for a moment, absorbing the information. "This is unfair. They cannot interfere in our personal lives." "I know, Sofia. But I'm going to face it. I'm not going to let them keep us apart." In the following days, Enrique faced tense meetings and discussions with the board. He defended his relationship with Sofia and his commitment to the company. His passion and determination eventually earned him the respect of some board members, but tension still hung in the air. Meanwhile, Sofia continued to grow in her artistic career. Her works gained recognition and she received invitations to exhibit in other galleries across Brazil. The artistic community in São Paulo welcomed her with open arms, and Sofia finally felt like she was realizing her dreams. One day, while painting in her studio, Sofia received an unexpected visitor. It was Gustavo. "Hi, Sofia. Can we talk?" Sofia nodded, curious about the reason for the visit. "Of course, Gustavo. Come in." Gustavo looked around the studio, admiring Sofia's works. "You have a lot of talent, Sofia. I understand why Enrique loves you so much." Sofia smiled, but waited for Gustavo to continue. "I wanted to apologize for the board's behavior. They are conservative and stubborn. But I want you to know that I support you both." Sofia was surprised and grateful. "Thank you, Gustavo. This means a lot to us." Gustavo nodded. "I'll do what I can to help Enrique in the company. You deserve to be happy together." With Gustavo's unexpected support, Enrique felt stronger to face the challenges in the company. He continued to work hard, proving his dedication and competence. Meanwhile, the relationship between Sofia and Enrique only grew stronger. They learned to trust each other more and more, overcoming obstacles together. Enrique found Sofia a refuge from the pressure of work, and Sofia felt safe and loved by his side. One night, after a quiet dinner at home, Sofia looked at Enrique with a smile. "You know, Enrique, I never thought I could be so happy. Thank you for believing in me and supporting me." Enrique held Sofia's hand, looking at her affectionately. "I'm the one who should thank you, Sofia. You brought light and joy to my life. Together, we are stronger." And so, Sofia and Enrique continued to build their future together, facing each challenge hand in hand, certain that their love could overcome anything. The tension in the company had reduced considerably with Gustavo's support and Enrique's determination to defend his relationship with Sofia. Enrique was determined to move forward with his plans and knew that the natural next step would be to ask Sofia to marry him. That week, Enrique planned a charity event that would bring together the business elite and renowned artists, including Sofia. He wanted the occasion to be memorable, both for the event and for the special moment he was about to create. On the night of the event, the room was elegantly decorated, with soft lights and classical music in the background. Sofia looked stunning in a long dress, receiving compliments for her works on display. Enrique, in his impeccable suit, looked more nervous than ever. "Are you well?" Sofia asked, noticing Enrique's uneasiness. Enrique smiled, trying to hide his anxiety. "Yeah, I'm great. Just looking forward to the speech." The event continued with speeches and presentations, highlighting the importance of art and philanthropy in society. Enrique, as host, was called to the stage to speak. He took a deep breath and began his speech. "Good evening, everyone. It is an honor to be here, surrounded by so many talented and generous people. This event is not only a celebration of art, but also a testament to the power of love and mutual support." Sofia, watching from the crowd, felt her heart quicken. Something in Enrique's voice indicated that something big was coming. "I would like to take this moment to thank a very special person," continued Enrique. "Someone who has brought new light into my life and inspired me in ways I never imagined. Sofia, please come over here." Surprised and moved, Sofia walked to the stage, her eyes fixed on Enrique's. When she arrived next to him, Enrique held her hands and looked deeply into her eyes. "Sofia, from the moment we met, you transformed my life. You showed me what true love is and gave me the strength to face any challenge. I want to spend the rest of my life by your side." Enrique knelt down, taking a small velvet box from his pocket. "Sofia Ramos, will you marry me?" The crowd held its breath, and time seemed to stop. With tears in her eyes and a radiant smile, Sofia replied, "Yes, Enrique. I want it." Applause erupted throughout the room as Enrique placed the ring on Sofia's finger and stood up to kiss her. They held each other for a moment, feeling the happiness and love around them. The night continued with an even more festive atmosphere. Everyone present celebrated not only the success of the event, but also the love and union of Enrique and Sofia. They danced together, surrounded by supportive friends and colleagues. Later that night, while they were alone at home, Sofia looked at the ring on her finger and then at Enrique. "I still can't believe this is real. We're engaged." Enrique smiled, caressing Sofia's face. "And this is just the beginning, my love. We have a whole life ahead of us to create our own stories and make our dreams come true." Sofia felt a surge of happiness and confidence. "With you by my side, I know we can face anything." And so, Sofia and Enrique fell asleep that night, hugging each other, dreaming of the bright future that awaited them. Preparations for Sofia and Enrique's wedding began in full swing. Sofia divided her time between the gallery and meetings to plan the ceremony, while Enrique balanced his responsibilities at the company with wedding preparations. They were both excited, but knew they needed to stay focused on their careers and personal lives for everything to go well. One day, while working in her studio at the gallery, Sofia received an unexpected visitor. It was Juliana, a renowned art curator who had heard about Sofia's work. "Sofia, your works are incredible. I am enchanted by the depth and emotion you convey in each painting. I would like to invite you to an international exhibition in New York," said Juliana, with a welcoming smile. Sofia was surprised and excited. "That would be a dream come true. I would love to participate." "Perfect. I'll arrange all the details and get back to you soon," said Juliana, before saying goodbye. Later, Sofia couldn't wait to share the news with Enrique. When he got home, she couldn't hide her excitement. "Enrique, you won't believe it. I received an invitation to an exhibition in New York." Enrique smiled, hugging Sofia. "This is amazing, Sofia. I'm so proud of you. It will be a great opportunity." "Yes, but it also means we'll have to adjust our wedding plans," Sofia said, a little worried. "Don't worry about it. We'll make everything work. I want you to make the most of this opportunity," assured Enrique, kissing her affectionately. In the following days, Sofia and Enrique adjusted their wedding plans, ensuring that Sofia had enough time to prepare for the exhibition in New York. With the help of Ana and Gustavo, everything was organized efficiently and harmoniously. Meanwhile, Enrique's relationship with his family continued to evolve. Gustavo and other family members began to recognize the positive impact that Sofia had on Enrique's life. Little by little, the initial resistance was replaced by acceptance and support. One day, Sofia and Enrique were invited to dinner at Enrique's parents' house. It was the first time that Sofia would meet the whole family together, and she was a little nervous. "Everything's going to be fine, Sofia. They're going to love you," said Enrique, holding her hand as they headed to the house. Upon arriving, they were warmly welcomed by Enrique's parents, João and Beatriz. Dinner was served at an elegantly decorated table, and the conversation flowed naturally. "Sofia, Enrique told us about your exhibition in New York. We are very proud of you," said Beatriz, with a genuine smile. "Thank you. It means a lot to me to have your support," Sofia replied, feeling more at ease. João, who had initially been skeptical about the relationship, looked at Sofia and said, "You have brought so much happiness to our son. And for that, we are grateful." Sofia was moved by João's words and felt truly accepted by Enrique's family. As time passed, the preparations for the exhibition and the wedding progressed smoothly. Sofia and Enrique continued to grow as individuals and as a couple, learning to support each other in all circumstances. Finally, the day arrived for Sofia's trip to New York. Enrique accompanied her to the airport, holding her hand until the last moment. "I'm going to miss you," Sofia said, with tears in her eyes. "Me too, but it's only for a while. Soon we'll be together again, ready for the next chapter of our lives," replied Enrique, kissing her tenderly. As the plane took off, Sofia felt a mixture of nervousness and excitement. She knew this was a great opportunity for her career, but she was also eager to return and continue to build her life with Enrique. In New York, the exhibition was a resounding success. Sofia's works have received critical and public acclaim, solidifying her position as an emerging artist of great talent. Back in Brazil, Enrique continued to deal with challenges in the company, but now with a renewed sense of purpose and strength. He knew that with Sofia by his side, he could face anything. When Sofia finally returned from New York, Enrique was waiting for her at the airport, with a bouquet of flowers and a beaming smile. "Welcome back, my love. I missed you so much." "Me too, Enrique. I can't wait to start the next chapter of our lives," Sofia replied, hugging him tightly. And so, Sofia and Enrique were ready to face new beginnings, certain that together they could overcome any challenge and achieve their deepest dreams. With Sofia's return to Brazil and the success of her exhibition in New York, the final preparations for the wedding were in full swing. Sofia and Enrique were closer than ever, ready to celebrate their love with friends and family. The wedding day arrived with a sunny morning, full of promises. The ceremony was organized on an elegant farm on the outskirts of Belo Horizonte, surrounded by a lush garden and colorful flowers. Sofia was getting ready in the master bedroom, with Anna by her side. "You look beautiful, Sofia," said Anna, adjusting her veil. "Henry is a lucky man." "Thank you, Anna. I don't know what I would do without you," Sofia replied, moved. "You were by my side at every important moment." Meanwhile, Enrique, nervous but radiant, was with Gustavo, adjusting his tie. "Today is the big day, brother," said Gustavo, smiling. "I'm proud of you." "Thank you, Gustavo. For everything. Without your support, things would have been much more difficult," said Enrique, hugging his brother. Guests began to arrive, filling the place with laughter and lively conversations. Enrique's parents, João and Beatriz, were among the first to arrive, expressing their happiness and support for the couple. When it was time for the ceremony, everyone gathered in front of the altar decorated with white and gold flowers. Enrique anxiously awaited Sofia's arrival. And then, the music started playing, and Sofia appeared, stunning in her wedding dress, walking down the aisle next to Anna. Enrique felt his heart accelerate when he saw her. She was more beautiful than he could ever imagine. When Sofia arrived at the altar, they exchanged smiles and looks full of love and promises. The celebrant began the ceremony, talking about love, unity and the journey that had led them to that moment. "We are here to celebrate Sofia and Enrique's love, a love that overcame challenges and grew stronger over time." Enrique held Sofia's hands and began to say his vows. "Sofia, from the moment I met you, my life changed for the better. You showed me what true love is and made me believe in us. I promise to love you, support you, and be by your side through all the good times and bad." Sofia, with tears in her eyes, responded with her wishes. "Enrique, you are my safe haven, my best friend and the love of my life. I promise to love you unconditionally, support you on all your journeys and build a life together, full of joy and dreams come true." With vows exchanged and hearts full of emotion, the celebrant declared them husband and wife. "You may kiss the bride." Enrique and Sofia kissed, sealing their union amid the applause and celebrations of the guests. The rest of the day was filled with parties, dancing and moments of pure happiness. Later, as the sun set, Enrique and Sofia walked hand in hand through the garden, reflecting on the day and the future that awaited them. Today was perfect, said Sofia, leaning her head on Enrique's shoulder. Yes, it was, Henry agreed, kissing the top of her head. And this is just the beginning of our life together. We have a lot to achieve, a lot to live for. I know, Sofia replied, smiling. And with you by my side, I know we can face anything. The night ended with a vibrant party, full of music, laughter, and joy. Sofia and Enrique danced until late, surrounded by friends and family who celebrated their love and happiness. And so, Sofia and Enrique began a new chapter of their lives, full of hope and determination. United by love and mutual understanding, they were ready to face any challenge and build a life full of happiness and achievements. After the wedding, Sofia and Enrique embarked on their honeymoon, a trip that took them to exotic and paradisiacal places. They traveled along the northeastern coast of Brazil, enjoying the stunning beaches, the rich local culture and time together, away from everyday responsibilities. On a calm evening, while having dinner by the sea in Fernando de Noronha, Sofia and Enrique reflected on the journey that had taken them there. You know, Enrique, sometimes it feels like a dream, said Sofia, watching the waves gently breaking on the beach. Everything we've been through, the difficulties and the victories. And now we're here, married and ready for the future. Enrique smiled, holding her hand. It's been quite a journey, Sofia. But every moment was worth it. I'm excited to see what the future holds. Back in Belo Horizonte, life returned to its normal rhythm, but now with the stability and joy of marriage. Sofia continued to stand out in the art world, receiving invitations to exhibitions and gaining recognition for her talent. Enrique, in turn, continued to lead the company with the same dedication and passion, but now with a new perspective, inspired by Sofia's love and support. Over time, Sofia and Enrique decided it was time to expand their family. The news of Sofia's pregnancy was received with great joy and celebration, not only by the couple, but also by their friends and family. Enrique was by Sofia's side every step of the way, supporting her through her pregnancy and preparing for her baby's arrival. They set up a lovely room, decorated with soft colors and artistic touches, reflecting Sofia's love of art. When the moment arrived, Sofia gave birth to a healthy girl, who they named Helena. Helena's arrival brought a new wave of happiness and completeness to Sofia and Enrique's lives. She's perfect, said Enrique, holding Helena in his arms for the first time. Just like her mother. Sofia, moved, watched Enrique and Helena together, feeling deep joy and unconditional love. We are a family, Enrique. Our family. The first months with Helena were challenging, but also full of unforgettable moments. Enrique and Sofia learned to be parents together, sharing responsibilities and celebrating Helena's every little achievement. Over the years, Sofia and Enrique continued to support each other in all areas of their lives. Sofia opened an art school for children, inspiring the next generation of artists, while Enrique expanded the company with new philanthropic projects, positively impacting the community. Life was full of love, challenges and growth. And at every step of the way, Sofia and Enrique supported each other, celebrating their victories and overcoming difficulties together. Years later, Sofia and Enrique organized a celebration at their home to celebrate their wedding anniversary and Helena's 5th birthday. Friends and family gathered to celebrate the family that Sofia and Enrique had built together. While watching Helena running and playing with other children, Sofia and Enrique reflected on the journey that had led them there. Look at her, Enrique. She's so full of life and joy, said Sofia, smiling. She takes after you, Sofia. And that makes me proud, replied Enrique, hugging her. The party was full of laughter, music and dancing. Sofia and Enrique danced together, remembering the moments of the masked ball that started it all. Do you remember that dance? Sofia asked, with a sparkle in her eyes. How could I forget? It was the beginning of everything, Enrique replied, squeezing her tighter. And look where we are now. Together, happy, with a beautiful family. At that moment, Sofia realized how much they had grown and changed, but also how strong and true their love had remained. She knew that no matter what challenges came their way, they would always be together, supporting each other. As the party continued, Sofia and Enrique looked to the future with hope and confidence. They had overcome so much adversity and were now ready to face anything that came their way. "We're just getting started," Enrique said, kissing Sofia softly. "Yes, we are," Sofia replied, smiling. "And with you by my side, I know we can face anything." And so, Sofia and Enrique continued to write their story together, a story of love, overcoming and happiness. United by an unbreakable love, they were ready for any challenge, knowing that together they could conquer the world.